Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Big up your damn selves in the building. Make sure you smash up the likes every single damn time and subscribe if you are new. The room is feeling a little bit more echoey today because this is the last video in this studio. This is the last video in this house and we will be moving. And next week we will have a new studio. It will take time to kind of build and put together because it will be different, very different. But we are moving. So it's been real. It's been fun. It's been good. But we have to address preseason, right? Preseason is why we're here. It's the start of Maresca trying to get his fundamentals across to those players, building up the fitness levels, making sure that everybody's prepped and ready for the preseason tour in America. Players are going to come back in dribs and drabs. For what I have at the moment in terms of players that are already here, we've got James, we've got Gusto, we've got Levi Colwell, Jackson, Nkuku, Tosin, Dewsbury Hall, Fofana, Lavia, Badiashile, Sterling, Cassidy, Madueke, Chukwemeka, Tyreek George, Achampong, Chilwell, Mudryk. If you know any others that you've been seeing scattered about, feel free to let me know in the comments, but that's what I've calculated and tallied up so far in terms of first team names that actually have a chance of featuring in the tour. There might be some more. But that's what I've got so far. Now, obviously, Cucurella and Gallagher and Cole Palmer are all going to the Euros final on Sunday in Germany. So we're not expecting to see those guys back for many, many weeks. So, yeah, that's self-explanatory. That's expected. That's fair. They've been putting in a shift. In particular, Cucurella has been starting every single game for Spain. Maybe Gallagher, because he's just absolutely desperate probably to get back as soon as possible and prove himself to Maresca, as he knows that Chelsea are trying to sell him actively, openly. Might return earlier. Wouldn't be surprised if he did. Mudryk has returned earlier, so shout out to him because he was part of the Euros and he's decided to come back early. And in this video, we're kind of going to talk about what do we expect from preseason? What can we expect to see in preseason? And what are the main talking points and debates that are going to take place in preseason? Because if we're starting with the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez is expected to begin the coming season as Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper. It's been kind of put out multiple times in reports. I'm not particularly happy about it. I'm sure most of you are probably not particularly happy about it. It always felt like when we signed him from Brighton, it was either a favour to try and sweeten the deal for Caicedo to try and get some money off, which never happened, or they actually truly believe that he is good enough to be Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper. And obviously the goalkeeping coach was from Brighton as well, and that was an extra added bonus in maybe the relationship between those two and Sanchez getting back to his best. He didn't have a great season last year purely because he was benched by Petrovic, and that was not expected for someone that came from the MLS for a very low fee. He's got a lot to prove. He's got a lot to prove in terms of removing those bozo genes, removing those errors from his game where you feel like he can have a good game but still give you 2-3 errors in a match or maybe cost you in a high pressurized moment. I don't know if it's Maresca or it's the board kind of really trying to push this first choice and say, yo, this is the guy that we believe is the, technical directors. This is the guy we believe is ready to be Chelsea's first choice. We're going to find out. But in preseason, I expect Sanchez to be starting in goal, playing out from the back, trying to put the foundations in the build-up for Maresca's style of football. And he needs to be setting the tone. He needs to be playing with confidence, playing with almost an arrogance to him to a degree, of course, but he needs to send confidence into the back line and not any sort of nerves and not any sort of shakiness. Otherwise, I think we're going to have to review the kind of idea of him being first choice and go into the market. His performances will hopefully depend on if we make that move. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not so set in stone. I'm not particularly confident. But throughout that back line, I think Tosin versus Fofana at right side centre-back is going to be an interesting development. I think Fofana is, of course, incredibly talented. He's now back in the preseason. He's now back in training and with the boys, which is crazy just to see Wesley Fofana amongst it. This could feel like a brand new signing. He's been here for 2 seasons. We've barely seen him. This could feel like a brand new signing. This could elevate the back line to another level. He's the one player that we have in the back line that we've actually seen at Leicester in the Premier League for a full season, put in a borderline Team of the Year performance. And we saw it real close up at Wembley when we lost to them in the final. This is the level of performance that Fofana has to come back to, and then he can make an insane difference. And we can play higher up. We can have his pace to help us recover, to squeeze up the pitch, to be a ball-dominant, possession-based, front-footed attacking team, he's a big part of that. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But Tosin is getting raving reviews because he's impressing in training. I think those leadership qualities are going to start to show throughout the season. He's obviously come with experience. As we always said when he signed, it was giving grown man vibes, giving mortgage paid vibes. And that's what we want. That's what we need. So I think he's going to be kind of flirting with the starting 11. Again, looking forward to seeing him in preseason. He's a very aggressive line breaker with his passing. And aerially, like I said before, this guy is someone that's going to help us and hopefully improve us in that department. So there's loads of images going around of him, you know, meeting the boys for the first time, and loads of images of everyone really from training. So that position, that fight, we haven't even mentioned Disasi. Let's see how that all goes. Right back, James versus Gusto. I still believe, of course, James is the better player, but it's down to fitness. He is going to be suspended for the first few games of the season, so that will probably play a part in seeing Gusto. Maresca, obviously everyone was saying right back will be inverted, so that's Gusto and Reece James. However, he's been playing with the idea of inverting the left back. I personally believe, regardless of what you saw at Leicester, we need to be open to any sort of tactical tweaks, right? Just because he inverted the right back at Leicester doesn't mean he has to invert the right back at Chelsea. He might decide to invert the left back. It's more the principles and it's more the kind of methodology in his, in what he's asking from the boys that should be consistent in terms of the way he wants them to play. But in terms of those tweaks and in terms of whether it's the right back overlapping, the left back overlapping, these things they're not important because in the game they should change, let alone game to game. That we should have players that are comfortable doing both. And the more players that we have that are comfortable being overlapping fullbacks and inverted fullbacks, being inverted wingers and going out wide, just the more they can offer and the more, I guess you say, Swiss Army knives we have in the team that can do a multitude of functions to a high level, the better for the manager, because then he's got no limitations in terms of ideas and what to tweak and what to change in game. So I wouldn't get too fixated on whether it's the right back coming in or the left back. But centre back, left side, of course, it will be Chilwell versus Badiashile. Both of them are in training, going up against each other for that position. Left back, Chilwell has a massive advantage over Cucurella because he's simply here. He's simply available. Cucurella is going to be on holiday. Of course, we're still waiting for the, new boy to come through from Portugal. He's having a medical, so he's not here yet. In midfield, I'm very interested to see if Enzo Fernandez is going to be playing in this Regista role that people have been kind of telling me that could be the case because of what happened with Harry Winks last season. Obviously, Lavia is not on this list, but Lavia is another person that could potentially play this role really well. So it'll be interesting to see if we're going to see Enzo and Lavia kind of go for that position. I don't expect to see Lavia start a consistent amount of games this season. He's been so crippled with injury last season that he might be that Conference League to cut player first and then go into the Premier League season off the bench and give those cameos. But if it's going to be him versus Lavia for that deeper position, whilst joining up with an inverted fullback to form a double pivot, then that means Caicedo is your box-to-box. That means Dewsbury Hall is your box-to-box. And these are your two eights. Caicedo, Dewsbury Hall. Is that going to be the case? Look out for that in pre-season. Who's going to back those players up? Will it be Santos backing those players up in the eights? Will it be Cole Palmer or will he be a right winger? Will it be Carney Chukwuemeka? Probably, hopefully. Backing them up on the left half space side. Cassidy, seems like the club are openly looking to sell him, along with Lukaku, along with Kepa, along with Malang Sarr, Amando Broja, Datro Fofana, Trevor Chalobah, Gallagher. I didn't even mention Chalobah for the right side defence with Disasi and Tosin and Fofana. So 4 right-sided centre-backs. Too many. So look out for those sales. Look out for if those players actually play in the preseason. Look out for if those players come off the bench. I think we'll get a sign of whether or not they're going to be involved next season, especially Gallagher, Chalobah, Fofana. We're going to get a sign, Datra Fofana that is, we're going to get a sign of whether they're involved next season in the plans or whether Maresca and the board and the technical directors are slowly trying to push out those players by not giving them preseason minutes. So then therefore, you get the hint kind of thing. You're not playing, so obviously you're not involved. So look out for that. Look out for right wing, because is it going to be Palmer, who's not a touchline winger, or is it going to be Madueke? And look out for what combination of right back he goes with said right winger, because we know that when Madueke is holding that touchline, you're necessarily going to invert a right back. So you might invert a James or Augusto. If Palmer's playing right wing, then you're going to give an overlap to James and Gusto. How does that affect, the left-hand side to balance it out? Look out for those combinations. Look out for that. Mudryk and Sterling on the left wing are our only left wingers. So it will be interesting to see if Chilwell or he goes with Renato Viagra, our brother, if he goes with, who he goes with to pair with those two to, again, try and establish some early chemistry. Is he going to give Chilwell that game time, or is he going to start to try and phase Chilwell out and not give him many minutes from the start and just off the bench to try and send signals to say, we want you to be sold? And up front, it's Jackson, it's Gue, and it's Nkunku. Because according to reports, Chelsea are assessing the fitness and assessing the performance of those players to see if we need to sign another striker. We know Gue is kind of the taller, hopefully aerially dominant guy that we can cross to, guy that can give us a different outlet, a different option in attack. Nkunku is your false nine link striker at best. I personally would like him in the half space facing goal, receiving the ball on the half turn and linking things up. But if he's going to be one of the striker options, he's a Firmino, he's a false nine, he's a link man. He can make those runs in behind, of course, but I don't want him to be occupying centre-backs, I guess, in a way where he's not involved in the game and he's just not getting many touches. I feel like Nkunku should be getting touches. I feel like Nkunku should be on the ball. So he should be the Firmino who is very integral to the play and not necessarily the target man or the lone striker who just doesn't see the ball too much. I don't think that will get the best out of him. And then obviously we have Jackson. And will Maresca play with the idea of playing Nkunku on the left? Will he play with the idea of playing Jackson on the left? Be interesting to see. Keep an eye on it. Will he play Gue up front with Jackson on the left to make a front two? Will he play Nkunku on the left with Jackson up front or Gue up front to make a front two? Very interesting. How does that affect the left back position? Because if you play an Nkunku off the left wing, you probably need an overlapping left winger so Nkunku can be more central. If you play Sterling on the left wing, you could maybe invert a left back. So again, look out for these combinations. It's going to be fascinating tactically to just see what his early ideas are and how they come across. Obviously, we play Wrexham and Celtic first two games. That's kind of your time to tinker. Then as we go throughout the preseason, we're going to want to see things coming together, a starting 11 that maybe we're going to take to the Manchester City game at Stamford Bridge in the opening game of the season. So just buzzing really to see how he kind of sets out the team and sets out going forward. This video is sponsored also by Surfshark. I know that's not the starting 11 for the new season, but I am struggling whilst moving. So check this out. Yo people, I'm moving house and I'm packing Surfshark VPN in my suitcase and taking them with me. That's the benefits of being able to stream your favorite TV shows and football matches from any location. Where am I moving to? What does the new place look like? These questions can't be answered just yet. Just know we'll be watching next season's games with ease. The question I can answer is, what is the code? Well, my Surfshark VPN code is MAH3 for an extra 4 months free. The link is in the description or the QR code is on screen. Enjoy. And just like that, things are getting awfully plain around here. We're running out of things. They're disappearing. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to the preseason. I think Maresca has got multiple challenges ahead of him, which is not obviously just down to tactics and systems, which we've just spoken about and kind of gone through. It's very important that the fitness levels are high. I know people are kind of starting to try to push that away now because of the Gangan test and Pochettino and the running and the huffing and the puffing, but the team need to be fit. The team needs to be fit. And it's not just about covering every blade of grass. It's just in terms of, are you ready for the magnitude of matches? Are you ready to go to multiple competitions? And are you ready to be fully fit? And are you ready to be strong? Are you ready to be built to last? Because we can't be having the severity of injuries that we had last season. And if this season we go again with injuries and we go again with the manager not being able to establish, I mean, I would love to be able to have a centre-back pairing that plays 28 to 30 Premier League games minimum as like the partnership. That's the partnership for 30 Premier League games. Now, the bench defenders don't want to hear that because they won't get much game time in the Prem. They'll have to play Conference League, maybe Cups. But for Chelsea to be defensively secure, for Chelsea to be defensively improved, let's see a partnership. You know, when you look at all of our previous brilliant seasons, you knew who the centre-back pairings were. If we had good seasons or great seasons and we actually won trophies, you can go to the year and you can name the partnership of the centre-backs. Last season, it was Badiashile, it was Disasi. Sometimes Chilwell might have been there. Sometimes it was, you know, it's just a range of just different faces and names coming in, and there was no real cohesion. Silva sometimes. There was no real consistency. So that will go a long way. The goalkeeper even changed last season as well. So if we could nail that down, if we could nail down partnerships across the pitch, as many parts of the pitch as possible, we can nail down partnerships, then fantastic. It's also critical that last season's youngsters, the Jacksons, the Maduekes, you know, who else have we got? I mean, even if I just go with those two, Mudryk, let's add him to the list, right? First full season. Very important that from a mental standpoint, they grow. They learn from last season's errors and mistakes. They grow as people. They improve. They start to show more seniority, because we don't want to have a repeat of the manager having to, you know, kind of mollycoddle and deal with these social issues and these, you know, moments of just lack of social awareness. Or we want to move on from that, because there's probably going to be new players that do that. There's going to be new youngsters that have those issues. So let's see some growth in those players. Let's see some development technically, but also let's see some development mentally key, because we threw away a lot of leads last year. You know, we were ahead in some games and we just threw it away. We were, from a mental standpoint, we seemed to not be able to cope with the pressure. We didn't know how to see games out, how to manage games, more so than just not being good or not being tactically astute or not having the quality. We just actually mentally couldn't get through certain games. We need to see an improvement on that. So Maresca's got to establish his authority. He's got to take no shit. You know, make sure that nobody's taking him for a mug. No one's taking him for a fool. No one's trying to find, you know, weaknesses in him in terms of, is he a lenient guy? We're going to find out just how disciplined he can keep this squad. Make sure that he's got his rules and regulations set out. We don't want penalty confusion this season between Sterling and Palmer and Madueke and Jackson. We just want to know, set in stone, this is that is this. So many facets to improve, so many facets to look out for. But we've got a new set piece coach from Brentford. We've got a new medical team. We've got a new manager, some new players. Hopefully a fully fit team. With all of that coming together, we need to improve. We'll see if we improve. Guys, make sure you smash up the likes. Make sure you subscribe. Looking forward to pre-season. Looking forward to the matches. Looking forward to all those little tactical little touches, details. It's going to be very interesting. I'll be there for the ride. Make sure you are there as well. Smash up the likes. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. In a bit, people. Peace.